Alrighty, thank you for your patience. We are now in our formal meeting. So welcome to today's meeting. We continue to host our hybrid meetings to provide everyone options of how to join our meetings. Our meetings are public, and you may join us in person or by watching from the Council's agenda page, Facebook, YouTube, or SLC TV. Please continue joining in whichever manner you feel most comfortable. The first thing on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, so please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, thank you for joining us tonight. Before we move through the agenda, I just want to remind everyone about our rules of decorum, which are in place to ensure meetings move along well, and to make sure everyone feels comfortable sharing their comments. A copy of the full rules of decorum are available at the door, and our staff will post them via WebEx. Next, we'll move on to item A4, which is approval of minutes. The council will consider approving the work session minutes of June 1st, 2021, June 15th, 2021, July 13th, 2021, as well as formal meeting minutes of October 4th, 2022, and December 13th, 2022. I'll look for motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the minute meetings of the dates that you just announced.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Fowler, second from Councilmember Wharton. Is there any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, I'll roll call. Councilmember Petro?
Yes.
Wharton?
Yes.
Fowler?
Yes.
Pui?
Yes.
Dugan?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Valdemoros absent. Now we are on item A5, which involves our Youth City Government students. So welcome, Youth City Government. Thank you for being here. Let's see. Angela and Juana are joining us as well. And thank you also for being here. I'll turn the time over to you, Juana, to introduce the students and maybe say a few words. Please come to the microphone.
Over there.
And this one right up here. Well, I guess, yeah, come on up.
Oh, I'm really nervous.
I guess
now.
Angela's not here.
Unfortunately, Angela cannot make it today.
That's understandable.
But we are so happy to have this opportunity. I wish we had all of our students. So I'm sure you guys are all aware, but Youth City Government is a program for high school students to learn about.
Can you speak a little closer to the microphone?
So sorry. So
you.
Youth City Government is a program for high school students to learn about policy and politics, how about their communities, to gain volunteer experience, and as well as help us out with events for their communities and also for their youth.
Wonderful. We would love all the students that are here to take a second to introduce yourselves. First of all, thank you for volunteering with us yesterday, or maybe that was your event that we were helping with, I'm not sure, but it was fun to volunteer with you yesterday together. Do you want to just go in order and introduce your who you are, where you go to school, why you're interested in Youth City Government?
All right. My name is Wild Violet Badger. I'm in District 3, and I'm homeschooled. And I'm interested in the city government because it gives me opportunities to help fix problems in the community that I care about.
Wonderful.
My name is Dia. I hope you're not sick of me yet.
Of course not.
I'm really interested in student government, especially with Youth City Government, because it showed me how important local politics is, which we don't really get to hear about. So whether that's serving on the Redistricting Advisory Commission or just being sworn in for the Racial Equity and Policing Commission, I like being able to make a tangible change in my community.
You're making quite the change, Dia. Thank you.
I'm Hazel. I go to Skyline High School. I joined YCG because I wanted to learn more about policy in Salt Lake City and specifically learn more about the issues that I care about.
Thank you.
My name is Hamda. I go to District 2. I go to West High, and thank you. Thank you. I go to West High, and I joined Youth City Government because I wanted to advocate for the things I care about and my peers, and I wanted to learn about all the politics that go into local politics.
Thank you all so much for being involved. And enjoy the program. I think at some point we'll get a Youth State of the City. Is that still on the books?
Yes, you will.
Wonderful. Councilmembers, do you want to take a quick picture with the Youth City Government students before they leave and we're excited to see you come back. I think I have on my list one more person that I guess couldn't make it. Is that accurate? Julia Summerfield?
Yes, she cannot make it tonight. I'm
Okay.
so sorry about that.
No worries. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here, you city government.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I just wanted to, before they leave, I wanted to quickly say that I hope that some of them replace us soon. So
I'm sure they will.
Dia has that on her mind.
Thank you so much. Can't wait to see what you do in the future. Okay, we are now on to section B, which is public hearings, of which we have none. We also have no potential action items, section C, so that moves us on to section D, comments. First are questions to the mayor from the city council. Rachel Otto, the chief of staff, is here as the mayor could not attend. Council members, any questions for the mayor's staff?
Chief
Councilman
of Staff Otto, would you care to maybe remind us when we can expect the State of the City address?
Thank you, Councilmember. The mayor will deliver the State of the City next Tuesday evening at 6 o'clock at Woodbine Food Hall. So hope to see you all there. Thanks.
And the public's welcome to join in person, or is there limited?
Yes, there are limited seats, but please RSVP if you can, and let us know what to expect. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, now we're on section D2, which is comments to the city council. This is the general comment portion of our agenda. So if you are here to give comment, we're accepting those both in person and online via WebEx. To help us move through public comments, Isaac Canedo from our staff will moderate our WebEx and we'll message you with any questions about your registration. Staff is handling many tasks, so please limit your messages to technical issues and minimal information updates. Taylor Hill on our staff will call names of those who wish to comment based on the order of registration or receive comment cards. You each have 2 minutes, and after the 2-minute mark, the host will announce time and your microphone will be muted. If you are unable to finish your comments in 2 minutes, please send the rest of it via email, mail, or by calling our office. And Taylor, could you please begin with our first general comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It looks like there are 9 people here to speak to general comment. The first will be Tekwani Oliver, followed by Brian Mensch, and then Christina Robb. Tekwani, you are unmuted.
Okay, can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I was listening into the working session, and I do apologize. I have a kiddo in the background. But I was listening in on the section about the ADU units. And one of my concerns as someone who has not only lived in an ADU unit, but who has been housing insecure for roughly about 5 years, Councilman Wharton knows me personally and understands quite a bit of my circumstances. And my concern is how quickly Councilman Pui is willing to push through some of that. And I would ask to observe caution, as Councilman Fowler and Councilman Wharton have suggested. I personally was swatted by my Airbnb host and am still struggling with the after effects of knowing that my life was legitimately in danger, because we do not have good faith actors out there as landlords And as Councilman Fowler mentioned, there is not an enforcement agency or a task force to incentivize any of these landlords to be better faith actors in the community. And so I think it's really not wise to push through those measures simply to mitigate housing, because the impact could be potential loss of life to people who are historically marginalized, historically have their voices erased, or are just pushed to the fringes. I'm still the elected chairperson of ADAPT Utah, and even within my own organizations, we can see how racial division and how the lack of opportunity and voice really does have a detrimental impact to human life. Maybe perhaps it's not in paper and it's not in those studies, but as someone who has anecdotally experienced it, it does happen.
Thank you. The next comment, please.
Next will be Brian Mensch, followed by Christina Robb, and then Cindy Cromer. Brian, you're unmuted.
Thank you. Utah Physicians for a Healthy Environment have been trying to raise awareness of the public health hazard of spraying mosquito pesticides over the Northwest Quadrant for the last 2 years. We have similar concerns after learning about the use of herbicides to control invasive species on the shores of the Great Salt Lake. Recently, concern about both of these practices was greatly elevated when we learned that nearly 70% of all pesticides introduced into the global market from 2015 on contain forever chemicals, i.e. the Teflon group, otherwise known as PFAS. The EPA, long criticized for not protecting us from toxic chemicals, jolted the nation months ago, declaring that there essentially is no safe level of these chemicals, setting the drinking water standard to 0.02 parts per trillion, which is so small it is barely measurable. Yet our environment is so contaminated with them that a study found virtually 100% of America's freshwater fish are contaminated with these chemicals at levels that would make eating just one serving of fish a year a health hazard. One researcher stated this is probably the greatest chemical threat the human race is facing in the 21st century. A former EPA scientist said if the intent was to spread PFAS contamination across the globe, there would be few more effective methods than lacing pesticides with them. Pesticides are highly toxic to humans all by themselves and at low doses, but PFAS contamination takes the issue to an entirely new level of urgency. None of the pesticides being used in the city, the Northwest Quadrant, or anywhere else are being analyzed for contamination with PFAS chemicals. The Salt Lake City Council should pursue the authority to require this in Salt Lake City and should do so immediately. Thank you.
And next will be Christina Robb, followed by Cindy Cromer, and then Katie Pappas. Christina is here in person.
Oh,
Right back there.
Okay. My name is Christina Robb, and I am the new chair of East Liberty Park Community Organization. I'm here tonight to talk to you about what I've been experiencing in the last 3 months since I moved from a board member of ELPCO to now the chair. The first thing I went about doing is training a new board. We doubled our board in order to get better representation across the breadth of ELPCO, and I'm really, proud of these people from jumping in and joining us. I'm going to be really honest here. The first thing that jumped out with me when we were training the new board, especially on land use issues, was concerned about enforcement, especially illegal ADUs and illegal duplexes and illegal triplexes that, in ELPCO, we are in a position where we all have friends who run illegal and sometimes unsafe rental units. But from my personal experience as a renter myself, I live in that swath of land between 800 and 900 South, which bumps up right up against District 4. I'm represented by District 5 by about 3 houses. And I want to be clear that ELPCO is a very diverse area, and people who join our committees get stuck between our people and doing the right thing by sometimes calling out our people for not taking care of other people very well. And by those people, I'm talking about renters who are in bad positions, who face unhealthy and sometimes really bad situations regarding adjustments of rent, et cetera. So I just wanted to meet you all. Thank you. I listened to you all day today, and it was really great to be here. I want you to think about safety as you're considering ADUs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next will be Cindy Cromer, followed by Katie Pappas, and then Kathy Scott. Cindy is here in person.
My comment tonight is about the upcoming report for Thriving in Place, which I anticipate will arrive very soon, if not this week. What a privilege it has been to be part of the working group. Truly a privilege. Utah is in the national news for its shrinking lake, its hideously hot summers, its foul air, its out-of-control housing market, and this study of gentrification and displacement, where we are on the cutting edge of positive press for collecting data which other communities do not have. As you know, the good news is that we actually know the bad news. Now we need a team like Scotty on Star Trek to beam us out of the mess we have created for ourselves over decades of poor decisions about the importance of housing to economic viability and mental health. This report from the Thriving team will contain the tools, the ones we need to extricate our residents from housing insecurity. The tool at the top of about everyone's list is housing loss mitigation. It will surely be in the report. More recently, the long-ignored tool of transfer of development rights, or TDRs, has shown up in discussions about affordable housing and the redevelopment of North Point. TDRs should also be in the report. It will not be hard to adopt these tools for Salt Lake. They have been in use elsewhere for decades. The consultants know that the tools will be used under the watchful eyes of the state legislators. The hard part will not be the tools themselves, but introducing the new expectations for housing. And we just can't keep giving away the land values. Thanks.
And next will be Katie Pappas, followed by Kathy Scott, and then Dorothy Owen. Katie is here in person.
Hi, my name is Katie Pappas, and I live in District 3. I'm disappointed that Salt Lake City, after fighting the Inland Port development with its huge warehouse potential, would decide to create their own warehouse district in an area where people currently live. Even the Port Authority Board has realized that warehouses don't provide good jobs, just more traffic and pollution. They're not appropriate in residential areas. The city's willingness to promote this type of development doesn't bode well for the future of the port area. The North Point Small Area Plan should be all about protecting the area and its residents and ensuring a safe, healthy future. Transitional zoning and recent rezone requests suggest that won't be the case. While the plan has some good ideas in it, it prioritizes business and warehouse development over residents, natural areas, and the health of the Great Salt Lake. Please start taking into account the cumulative effects of everything that's happening in the Northwest Quadrant. The inland port, probable freeway expansion, refineries, the airport, and the planned increase of sprayed pesticides and herbicides to control mosquitoes and Phragmites. Before you allow this or any development projects near the south end of the Great Salt Lake, you should partner with Salt Lake County to protect the lake and its ecosystems within your jurisdictions from further impacts and harm. You are in a unique position to help save a globally significant area. We don't need more warehouses. We need the Great Salt Lake with all its wonders, and we need a livable future. Thank you.
Next is Kathy Scott, followed by Dorothy Owen, and then Margaret Holloway. Kathy is here in person.
Good evening. I'm Kathy Scott, a resident of East Central Community and a member of Our Lady of Lourdes Church on 1100 East 700 South. Thanks for this opportunity to let me bring to your attention potential development concerns. As you know, the Catholic Diocese of Salt Lake City is considering relocating Judge Memorial High School and Our Lady of Lourdes Elementary School to 2100 South. The diocese is exploring the possibility of selling their 7.7 acres where the schools currently are located to provide redevelopment funds for the project. Unfortunately, the 0.4 acres on which Our Lady of Lourdes Church sits would be part of this sale. Our Lady of Lourdes Church is listed on the National Register of Historic Places as a contributing building. The church is 110 years old. It is financially and architecturally sound and in good repair. It's a beautiful Salt Lake treasure that is in scale and in character with the neighborhood. The church has been a sacred space for generations for a remarkably diverse and vibrant community. The church predates Judge Memorial by approximately a decade. At the time the church was built in 1913, the land adjacent to the church was occupied by Judge Memorial Miners Hospital, which is remembered for treating miners suffering from black lung and being the go-to quarantine hospital during the time of the Spanish flu. Based on the number of citizens who have signed petitions and sent missives to the diocese, neighbors and congregants have a keen interest in preserving the church, a sentiment that is not shared by the diocese thus far. In the event that a sale is consummated, the neighbors and congregants would expect to be invited to participate in rezoning discussions. It should be noted that because of the church's historic status, the building would be eligible for tax credits for adaptive reuse. Thanks.
Thank you, Kathy.
Next will be Dorothy Owen, followed by Margaret Holloway, and then Ann O'Connell. Dorothy, you're unmuted.
My name is Dorothy Owen. I am the past chair of the West Point Community Council. I'm here just to make a few brief comments here. In the coming weeks, you'll be working on the North Point Small Area Master Plan. And I hope as you go through this that there'll be a couple of things that you'll remember as you win. One is that it is a master plan. It is not a zoning document. It is designed to provide a vision. We've been working on it for 4 years with the intent that it would resolve many of the problems we've been having for the last few years regarding multiple annexation and rezoning requests. It was our expectation that the master plan would identify a few options, policy options, and that by the time it got to the city council, those options would be narrowed and be clear. We could have a rational discussion and a resolution to the issues. Unfortunately, here we are 4 years later, $100,000 contract has been led and work has been done, and we're not anywhere closer to where we were when we started this 4 years ago. Why that is one question I hope you will ask yourself. We didn't have to be in this type of a position with this much controversy and angst. Why are we here? How could we have done this process and spent the $100,000 better and done the process better so that we weren't in this position? I'll leave others to talk about the details of the plan. I just ask that you reconsider the planning process so that other communities don't have to go through it. Thank you.
Next will be Margaret Holloway, followed by Ann O'Connell. Margaret is here in person.
My boss is the city councilman in Daybreak, and he thanks you for all the sales tax that's going to come to his area from the bees. Anyways, 10 years ago, the city would have paid our company to stay in the city $100,000. One of our vendors said they were going to move to West Valley, and the city said, no, you got to stay. Things have changed. Our company's been there for 78 years. We manufacture out there across from Tesoro. 2 others have left the street, and there's a few others, and there's not very many of us left. The state went and redid this state tax code for personal property tax last year, and now we have to pay property tax again on all the stuff we bought in 1954. And they said it was to provide, because they'd given tax breaks to the new companies for $25,000. Then the county came and they doubled our tax because they said there wasn't very many manufacturing firms left in this part of the valley, or the part of the county, and that they doubled our value. We now are worth more than Tesoro across the street. We pay more taxes than Tesoro does across the street. And from what I heard, the city wants us out. The city wants the manufacturing stuff out of the city so they can build housing. You already rezoned across the street from us for housing. There's another one that just went, they got sold and went to Massachusetts or Minnesota. We're curious to see if you guys are going to flip that to housing too. I know, Mr. Wharton, I know this is your district, but I do not know if you know what is there. We have made it 78 years without any help. But then we see other new companies keep getting incentives to stay, incentives to grow, new people. It's not fair. And now you want to turn a manufacturing firm out there 101.1 million acres or feet out there on 2200 West, and you want to put manufacturing out there. Well, they're not going to be able to make it for that, and so there's the governor's office going to give them all this incentive to move. So that's going to eliminate taxes, because that's what they like to do, is we'll give it to you for free. We'll give it to you for free if you just come out there. And the whole presentation. Anyways, I wish the bees would stand, but.
Thank you. You can give the rest of your comment via email or any of the other ways.
I'm sorry, what?
You can finish your comment electronically via email or by calling if you'd like.
I will.
And finally is Ann O'Connell, who is here in person.
Ann O'Connell. I'm in District 4. Last week, I attended the Planning Committee public meeting to speak out against a proposal for warehouses in the North Point area, as did most of the people there. The request was denied, at least until the area has a new master plan, evidently now in the works. I was pleased with the results, as was most of the audience, but since then, I have been having second thoughts about how much good such a small area plan would do. The whole south shore of the Great Salt Lake is suffering from this kind of piecemeal planning. It happens to be the home to important wetlands, uplands, duck habitat, all preserved mostly by the efforts of individuals and private organizations, but almost by accident, with little coordination and with little or no support from the rest of us. We know the lake is in serious trouble, so these small pieces of habitat have become critical now that the lake is shrinking. If the lake continues to dry, these remnant habitats, sometimes maintained somewhat artificially, may be the only hope for the survival of some bird species. After all, filling the lake back up will do little good for bird populations that have died out in the meantime. So what can you do as the Salt Lake City Council? First, and specifically Salt Lake City must look beyond a small limited plan for the North Point area and substitute a larger vision. The whole south shore of the lake, even including the inland port, look elsewhere for help. Salt Lake County corporations, foundations, even, do you dare hope, the legislature?
Time.
Thank you.
And that was the final registered commenter.
Thank you, Taylor, and thank you for everyone who joined our meeting today to provide comments. That takes us to section E, which is new business, and the first item is item E1, a local emergency declaration extension regarding shelter bed caps.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I move the council approves the extension of Proclamation 1 of 2022 from the date of this resolution until April 30th of 2023, unless later extended or terminated by subsequent resolution of the council, or unless terminated pursuant to state law.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion from Councilmember Fowler, second from Councilmember Pui. Do we have any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, I will roll call. Councilmember Fowler?
Yes.
Pui?
Yes.
Wharton?
Yes.
Petro?
Yes.
And Dugan?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. That passes 6-0 with one council member absent. We are now on we're on section F, unfinished business. And the item here is section F1, which is an ordinance approving an economic development loan fund for 43 Bakery / Streusel LLC.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council adopt the ordinance approving a $100,000 loan for 43 Bakery Streusel LLC from the Economic Development Loan Fund.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Pui, a second from Councilmember Fowler. Is there any discussion to this motion? Seeing none, I'll roll call. Councilmember Dugan?
Yes.
Petro?
Yes.
Wharton?
Yes.
Fowler?
Yes.
Pui?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. That passes 6-0 with one council member absent. And the last item on our agenda is the consent agenda. I will look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Fowler, and I'll say Councilmember Wharton as a second. Any discussion? Councilmember Wharton? Okay. Thank you. Councilmember Fowler?
Yes.
Pui?
Yes.
Petro? Yes. And Dugan?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. That passes 6-0 with one council member absent. And with that, we are adjourned.
You can call on me.
Yeah, I did. You're the first person I called on.
I thought you were calling on me to comment. Yes, my answer is yes. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.